Conovision. Hello, my name is Jim Conrad, a.k.a. Kono, and this is Conovision. On Episode 5, we present stories about the dichotomy of us versus them. Team good guys versus team bad guys. Ego versus psyche or soul. Conovision. Given our fragile purchase on the world, given our obdurate dependency, given ignorance of alternatives, given the lack of rational analysis, given the imposing immensity of messages from the information environment, we all assemble a false sense of self. We call it ego. It's not false because we've lied to ourselves about ourselves, but false because it is not about us, but about them, it, the other, something outside of us. So we are defined by the other, not from within, not by divine design, but by the otherness of the other, which we cannot fathom, understand, contain, control, comprehend. It's a mystery. So we are defined as a reticulated network of behaviors, attitudes toward self and world, and reflexive strategies designed to get our needs met and to manage the anxiety in whose slipstream we daily stride. As most of this assemblage we call ourselves remains unconscious, we can't really address it, at least not until it becomes conscious. The fractious paradox of the unconscious is that, well, it's unconscious. Yet, some of us learn that there is such a thing as our psyche, a Greek word meaning soul. The psyche embodies the totality of our being: brain, blood, bone, cerebration, effect, and desire. It is who we are, though we can only know ourselves partially through the limited purview of consciousness. Yet it knows us, minds us, cares for us, corrects us, and critiques us when we're off track. It never sleeps, never ceases, always standing watch over our troubled slumber, and always registers its opinion as to how things are going. When, from the psyche's purview, things are going as they should, when we are in the Tao, it provides us with energy sufficient for the task and supporting the feeling that affirms our daily agenda. When we're off track, Psyche protests. Noisy demonstrations are held in the amphitheater of the body. Streets are blocked in the brain by rebels from the cane fields. Dreams are invaded by spectral disturbances. Effects riot and tear down the work of years. Meanwhile, the timorous ego, that nervous Nelly of necessity, runs from these tumults, represses, splits off, projects, procrastinates, rationalizes, diverts, and narcotizes. But the insurgents dig in for the long haul. Our abdication, our overthrow seems their aim, and our terrors multiply. Whatever shaky throne we purchased at the price of our numerous adjustments and backroom deals is our presumptive treasure and our sanctum. Nellie on the throne admits no faults and simply orders more troops to guard the castle walls. This sundered sovereign, ego, will resist until resistance is futile. Depression debilitates. The spouse leaves. The cost of the addiction is way too much. Troubling dreams persist until a deep, shaming sense of sham may no longer plausibly be denied. Thus, Psyche speaks, not with tongues of angels, but with sounding brass, and battens our brain and pummels our person till we collapse, and then, possibly, open the door. Then begins the healing. Then begins the recovery of what was lost by the necessary adaptations of ego. Then begins the wisdom of asking, what really matters most? Conovision.
All right, listen up, maggots.
Sir, yes, sir.
Today, I am going to talk to you about the us versus them mentality, or for you brainiacs, social identity theory.
Sir, yes, sir.
It is a psychological tendency to view the world in terms of an in-group, us, and an out-group, them, often leading to rivalry, prejudice, and hostility by idealizing one's own group and devaluing others.
Sir, yes, sir.
This thinking often involves creating a negative or inferior image of the them group using stereotypes and ignoring individual differences, which can lead to prejudice, discrimination, and even conflict.
Sir, yes, sir.
While it can serve as a fundamental part of group identity, it's a harmful dynamic in many contexts, including but not exclusive to politics, workplaces, and what you call your social interactions.
Sir, yes, sir.
Here's how it works. 1. Categorization. The world is simplified into opposing groups based on differences in ethnicity, religion, politics, or other shared traits.
Sir, yes, sir.
2. Positive self-attribution. The us group is idealized, seen as superior, and holds positive beliefs about its members.
Sir, yes, sir.
3. Negative othering. The them group is devalued and stereotyped, often with negative generalizations that ignore individual differences.
Sir, yes, sir.
4. Reinforced distrust. This division creates an illusion of difference and prevents connection, empathy, and genuine understanding between groups.
Sir, yes, sir.
All right, are you with me so far?
Sir, yes, sir.
I can't hear you.
Sir, yes, sir.
Good. Now, how about manifestations and consequences?
Sir, yes, sir.
First, polarization. Political divides deepen, with each side perceiving the other as an antagonist. Second, workplace silos. Departments or teams can become insular, fostering competition and a lack of collaboration. Third, social division. It can lead to scapegoating, hostility, and discrimination against minority or outgroups. And fourth, reduced empathy. Creates an excessive focus on group differences and diminishes compassion for others.
Sir, yes, sir.
Now, how do we break the us versus them dynamic? Listen up.
Sir, yes, sir.
A. Promote collaboration. Engage in cross-functional projects to build understanding between different departments or groups.
Sir, yes, sir.
B. Encourage inclusivity. Actively include diverse perspectives in decision-making processes to prevent cliques from forming.
Sir, yes, sir.
C. Offer constructive feedback. Challenge us versus them thinking when you see it taking hold, helping to resolve divisions early.
Sir, yes, sir.
D. Practice empathy. Make an effort to understand the perspectives of those outside your own group.
Sir, yes, sir.
And E. Focus on shared humanity. You must all recognize the common needs, aspirations, and values that unite people, rather than solely focusing on differences. Do you hear me?
Sir, yes, sir!
Dismissed?
Conovision.
Dennis, I know that some in our audience don't know the finer points of hockey. Could you tell them, for example, what is slashing?
Slashing is like that, you know?
Mm-hmm. And there's a penalty for that?
Yeah, you do that, you go to the box, you know, 2 minutes by yourself, and you feel shame, you know, and then you get free.
This is the Conovision podcast, and I'm joined by my good friend Alec Tidey. Alec, how are you?
I am great. Oh, how about fine?
Okay, you're fine. You're great and fine.
Yeah.
Alec, give me a bit of a thumbnail sketch about your life. Where were you born and raised?
Well, I was born in Vancouver General. Mm-hmm. My father bought our first house when I was just born in West Vancouver. So we grew up in West Vancouver. My dad worked for Trans Mountain Oil Pipeline in purchasing, and he also fixed up houses. So we moved quite a bit as he built and fixed up houses and did that in his spare time.
And West Van back then wasn't the West Van we know now.
Well, no, we lived below the highway, so it was called the ghetto, and up in the properties where all the money was. So,
right.
But yes, it was a different setting for sure.
Now, growing up, going to school, you were dyslexic.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things that growing up back 69 years ago.
Yes.
One was the ADD, HAD, all the DDs. Mm-hmm. I invented that. Mm-hmm. I was out of my seat all the time, and I acted out in my fear and had...
So because of your ADHD and your dyslexia, you felt alone and isolated.
Well,
as a kid?
Yes, as a kid, and I didn't fit in because but I didn't realize it back then.
Of course, you were a child.
I just was going through life.
Yeah.
But my background or my way of dealing with it wasn't to isolate, it was to act out. And I used to put kids in headlocks and cause trouble in school, and not knowing what was going on in my life. And as I went through grade 1, grade 2, Pauline Johnson School, they held me back. Didn't know what that was about, but I was never a bad kid. I was just active all the time.
You weren't a bully?
Not a bully, but don't get me mad. And that was inherently built into me. I would act out.
Because of the dyslexia and the ADHD, primarily the dyslexia, were you labeled dumb?
When you can't read, write, or spell in school, going from grade 1 into grade 7, 8, 9, I often got called, "Oh, you're so stupid, Alec.
Yeah.
You're dumb." And instead of going, "Oh," and hiding, I act out. That is, something that I didn't like looking back in my life, but it created something for me to deal with it. And just like someone that isolates.
Yes.
There's two different ways of dealing with it. Dyslexia wasn't known back in the schools back then. It was not identified. And so I got really lucky. We joined Hollyburn Country Club and started swimming and playing hockey. I swam until I stepped on the jack that put a hole in my foot, and the coach came and pulled the jack out and made me swim the race, and I said, "Okay, I'm out." As I was crying. I was probably 6 years old or something. And anyway, I went and played hockey, and that was a natural thing for me. Very interesting, too, is my grandfather's father was the first mayor of Merritt, BC. And my grandfather, I've got a picture of, 1915 on the Merritt High School hockey team. He was a rover. And a rover was a guy that could skate.
Yes.
He was the...
Skate better than the rest of the guys.
Yeah, better than the rest of the guys. He'd go anywhere over the... This is back in 1915.
Right.
So I had this ability, which was a gift from wherever, that I could play hockey. And I started excelling in that. A fellow named Greg Neild, his family... His mother would rent the ice or get the ice, and we would skate and skate and skate as we were younger. You know, I'm talking 8, 9, 10 years old.
So hockey became a way for you to excel and to be part of, because you were in school. It was a no-go, right?
Well, I've got a couple of stories about that, if you'd like. One is, yes, when I was 15, I played BC junior hockey in Richmond, so 15, 16. So I would miss school for playing hockey, and we'd be on the road or whatever, and I'd come back to school. And then the following year was grade 11. I had training camp, and I missed a week of school in training camp. And then I came back into school, and I got all my books in my locker, and I went to the first class, and the teacher... You know, I always sat in the back of the class because I was a bit of a disturber. That's where I would sit. And the teacher said, "Alec, are you playing hockey this year?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, I don't want you in my class."
Really?
Yeah. And I went, "You know what? That's fine." And I walked out.
And that was it for you for formal education?
Well, what happened was the next class I went to was in English, and he was always trying to help me in English. This teacher. This was West Van Secondary School. And I went into the class again, and at the beginning of the class, he said, "Alec, are you playing hockey this year?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, I don't want you in my class."
So another teacher said the same thing?
Two things.
Wow.
And I walked out of the class, and, you know, Big Tough Al started to cry.
Yeah.
And I went and got my books, and I took the books into the principal's office, and I was crying. He was on the phone, and I walked in, and I threw the books. And this is what I'm talking about. This is how I acted.
Yeah.
And I took the books and threw them on his desk, and I said, Your school is
fucked?"
Yeah, fucked. I can say it. And he hung up the phone, and I walked out, and I phoned my dad. And my sister swam for Hollywood Country Club. She swam in the Pan American Games, and she went to Sentinel School. So he phoned Sentinel. He said, "Okay, Alec." You know, I told him what happened. He said, "Okay, I'll phone Sentinel." And Sentinel said, "Okay, you can come to Sentinel." And that's where I got to know all my friends up in Sentinel. I had friends from West Van, but I went to Sentinel, and boy, it was a gift to walk into that place and start fresh. But again, I had a general program. I was woodwork, study, metalwork, study. I went on all these different programs, but we were causing trouble, my buddies and I, in school up there. And I don't need to go into that, but finally, about 3/4 of the way through, the vice principal came to me and he said, "What are you doing here, Alec?" And I said, "I don't know." He said, "Why don't you go play hockey?" And this is another thing about life. I phoned my dad again and told him what happened. And he said, "Yeah, okay." I had tutors in grade 8 and 9 trying to teach me how to read phonically, sounding words out. None of it worked.
Because in dyslexia, and because it is common, and some people, there is a way to work through it and to adapt to it. In fact, studies have shown that a lot of dyslexic people actually become overachievers in various things because of, it's basically, I'm going to show them. I was called dumb in high school or school, but no, I'm going to show them, and they overachieve.
I had a little different feeling of it. I lived in the moment, didn't understand about what I should or shouldn't be or do. And I played hockey, luckily, and turned professional.
Well, let's go back. So so out of school, now you're playing hockey full time. That was in the BC Junior League.
Yeah, so a couple of things that happened in there. I played BC Junior for 2 years, and then I went to Kamloops and played my first year. Got scouted and went and played with them. I think I scored 16 goals, but I played it was not a really good team.
In the early junior sphere of hockey, this is quite a step up.
Yeah.
to be drafted by one of these major junior teams.
It is, and it's
It's the pipeline to the NHL.
It is a pipeline to the NHL. Yeah. It's the way you get drafted and this sort of thing. I can talk about some of the issues that I had with that, or should I?
Yes.
Let's
get it all out, Alec.
One of the things about doing that is following your passion and coming into playing against 19 and 20-year-olds and some pretty good hockey players back then. So it was a different deal. And, I remember one of the problems that I had in my life, and I forgot to tell you about this, when in high school I got a gift. And being outside looking in all the time and not fitting in with all of my peers, I started to drink on the weekends. Mm-hmm. And what did that do for me? It put me on the playing field with all my friends. Right. And they didn't look at me as a stupid guy. I was popular. I was fun. I was, a hockey player. I was now in the game of unity with friendship.
Being accepted through drinking.
Yeah, and partying and having fun.
Yeah.
And it was something that turned my character into who I am today, as opposed to being angry and feeling outside not good enough and all the things that school gave me because I couldn't read, write, or spell.
So now the party culture gave you an in to be accepted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's very common.
Yep. It is.
Why that's kind of probably the main motivation for kids. I know it was for me. It wasn't about I really wanted to drink or do drugs.
No.
It was everybody else was, and if I do this, I'll be in the club.
Yep.
I'll be accepted. And it was more abhorrent to me to be outside and looking in than any harm that I thought drugs or alcohol could do. So
Jimmy,
I was kind of like, yeah, let me into the party.
Yeah. Well, Jimmy, the thing about that is there's good drinkers, good partiers, and bad partiers and bad drinkers.
True that.
I was all the good ones. Okay. I had fun. The guys loved me. I had girlfriends, and that was a gift for this guy to this day that opened up my life. But along with comes with that, I was a binge drinker. And when I drank, I didn't know how to go home or want to go home. And so I was always out late and partying and that sort of thing. But I didn't drink all the time. It's just when I was on, I was on. Anyway, I wanted to say that to you because when I went into my first year junior, training camp was a month long, and then we made the team, or we're in the game, and then the team said, okay, well, we got a day off. We're going to let you guys go party. So 19, 20-year-olds that I'm going with. We get a bottle of Southern Comfort is what I got, and some orange juice. And that's what happened with my type of drinking. And what happened with hockey, I stayed out late and got in trouble. And
Past curfew.
And that was the start of it. And I want to say that because I didn't do that all the time. But when I did it, I stayed out too late and this sort of thing. So my first year, like I said, I scored, I think, 15, 16 goals, which wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. And they traded me to Edmonton Oilers.
Now, this was the Edmonton Oil Kings.
Oil Kings, sorry. You might have to correct me. They had a really good team. They went to the finals the year before, and I didn't make the team.
Right.
Yes.
And it was because of the partying?
No, I think okay, so this is interesting because I didn't make the team and I didn't know why. So I went down to Lethbridge and tried out with Brian Trottier and Brian Sutter, Ron Delorme. We had a pretty good team. Mm-hmm. And the first preseason game, I scored 4 goals. The other thing that I did between Kamloops and after I finished playing hockey in Kamloops, went up to the Caribou. Yeah, my dad built a net with 2 cans in the corners and a shooting platform, and I bought 300 pucks. And all summer, I shot pucks. Mm-hmm. After playing in Kamloops and only scoring a few goals, and I went to Lethbridge, and I'm up in, playing with Brian now, Brian Trottier, Brian Sutter, and we had one of the hottest lines in hockey.
Right.
And then what happened was they traded for Terry Busick, which Terry Busick was drafted the year before, and he was a high draft choice. And there's money in them there, Hills. I didn't know this, but get a draft choice that goes for them. They get paid more money for the higher draft choice.
Right.
I started partying and got pissed off. Earl Ingerfield was the coach. Not his fault, just he put me on to the second line. And I started hanging out with the wrong guys. And the other thing that I wanted to say was when we played against the Edmonton, I scored 3 goals.
The team that didn't want you.
The team that didn't want me. And they interviewed the general manager and said, why wouldn't you have kept Tidey? And it says it in writing, because he was causing trouble.
Oh, no.
Yes.
This was a quote from him on the record.
Why we didn't keep Alec. We heard, just that, some form of that. This is stuff that, when you're growing up and you're walking through it, you don't know what that is.
But your reputation as a troublemaker was now on the record.
And then I remember being, after Christmas, I would play on the power play with Trottier and Sutter, but I'd play on the second line. And I ended up with 42 goals. Brian Trottier ended up with 44 goals. I was second in scoring. Fighting, I took boxing, and I'm left-handed and talented, so I knew how to fight, but I hated it. I hated fighting. I didn't like the feeling. I didn't like the aftermath.
On teams, there were certain players that were designated fighters.
Yeah.
We wouldn't call them goons, but a lot of people did.
Yeah.
Were you a goon?
No. But I fought the goons, and I never lost a fight, except for one, but that was a long ways through. But never got beat up, and I hurt a lot of guys with my left hand.
Right.
Because I knew how to hit, knew how to box, and I knew how to fight. But you had to get me really mad for me to do something like that.
Would a coach tell you to go get a guy?
No, never. I wasn't that player. I was this goal scorer.
Right.
I was skater, goal scorer. And the thing about that is, to get drafted, you had to have these abilities. And so my agent in North Van, I think of his name, said, Alec.
I forgot the name of your agent.
Just a sec. It's
that isn't.
That's very bad. Very bad.
I do as well.
I know. It's
especially
coming.
when they don't work for me.
It's coming. But that's because I had a few hits in the head, okay?
Okay. All right.
It'll come to me. He said I would get drafted in the low first round, high second round.
Okay, so now let's set the scenario once again. So now you're playing for the Lethbridge Broncos.
Yes.
You're scoring goals. You're a tough guy. These are attributes that the NHL, they like. They like the fact that you've got good hands, not only scoring goals, but can handle yourself.
Correct.
You've got a mean streak, as they say. And so now you're in Lethbridge, and now it's coming to what year of the draft?
So the end of the year, we ended up losing out in the playoffs. We had a really good team. I scored the most goals in the playoffs. We won the first round, the second round. Again, playing with Trottier now again in the playoffs because we're trying to win. And then the draft is coming up, and I'm at home by myself in West Vancouver, where not many hockey players came out of back then, out of the West.
Okay, so your family wasn't there watching the draft?
No.
Okay.
No. This was a new thing, too. Mid-70s.
Okay.
When this was happening. So it was all evolving, the drafts.
It wasn't the big show that it is now.
Not like it is now. No.
Okay.
But I was watching it, and third round came along. Fourth round came along. Fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth round, I get drafted.
Drafted in the 8th round.
By Buffalo Sabres. San Diego Mariners in the 4th round in the WHA. I was shocked, and I was...
Did you not expect to be drafted?
I expected to go in the first round.
You thought you were going to go in the first round?
Or the second round, like Ron Perrick from North End. Ron Perrick
was your agent, yes.
My agent, yeah. I knew it'd come up. Great guy. I mean, anyway, that whole thing.
Now, how much do agents influence? They're the ones who are trying to sell you to the GMs.
Yeah.
So Ron didn't do a very good job.
Well, we would say that, but I think what happened was I got the bad name from our coach and our
the reputation of being a troublemaker and being put on record by a GM in Edmonton, like in writing, quoted in an article.
It starts lathering up.
I guess it speaks to character, but you can get a bad rap, can't you? Did you think you got a bad rap?
There's a couple of things. The binge drinker, as opposed to a chronic drinker, doesn't get caught. I didn't get caught up in that I had that problem, or that it was just in the moment I would stay out and do stuff and then get caught. I'll give you an example. In Lethbridge, it was 3:00 in the morning in my little car that I had, a little station wagon, and I was coming down the coulee at 3:00 in the morning and ran over a deer and broke his back. And I got out and I'm going, oh, what am I going to do? And then a cop came by at 3:00 in the morning. 19-year-old Al is driving his car intoxicated and ran over a deer. So he shot the deer. I'll never forget this. And he said, you go home. Well, what do you think happened the next day? They phoned the coach or the general manager and told him what happened, I'm sure, because I didn't tell him.
At that point in time, Alec, did you think about changing?
No, not. And I didn't think I had that problem.
Even though there was obvious consequences.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Maybe I looked at it and went, oh, well, you know.
You're 19.
Yeah. I might have looked at, I honestly didn't think about that problem being a problem.
So, drafted by San Diego in the 4th, by the Sabres in the 8th.
Yeah.
Who did you decide to go with?
Ron Park said to me, Alec, if you go with Buffalo, they played in the finals with, I think it was Montreal, and they had a really good team. And he said,
Gilbert Perreault.
Yeah, Perreault, Martin, Danny Gare.
That was the big line.
Oh, great team.
Oh, so he said go to San Diego.
Yeah, go because you'll play. You'll get ice time. If you go to Buffalo, you go down to the minors.
Right.
Probably. And so I went to San Diego, and this is wild. So I'm down in San Diego in training camp around the pool, and I said to my dad, I'm going to go down a day early because it's really hot down there, and I want to get used to the heat. And so I went down to the Dana Inn, and I went in and hung out at the pool by myself. And then the next day, the players start coming in. Andre Lacroix, Wayne Rivers, Gene Peacock, and meeting these guys. I didn't know any of them. And there are a lot of older guys because the WHA brought in some older players, but they had us young guys to fill in the team. I was sitting around the pool, and then this burrhead comes in with his nose over to the side, and it was...
He's a white guy.
He is.
Okay.
It was Goldie Goldthorpe.
Goldie Goldthorpe.
From Slapshot, I'm not kidding.
Wow.
And he walked into the pool, and he had Inukshooks, you know, the things that you swing around, the two pieces of wood and
chakras
or something like that. Inukshooks, I think they were. Anyway.
We'll Google it.
Yeah, and he comes up to me and goes, and pulls it under, says, I'll see you on the ice tomorrow. And I said, fuck off. I didn't know.
You told Goldie Goldthorpe to fuck off.
Yeah.
I like it.
And the guys are sitting around the pool watching this and going, oh, that's Goldie. Don't worry about Goldie and this sort of thing. And I'm going, and now I'm finding out that they thought I was a big, tough player, which I guess I was, but that wasn't my deal.
So your role, their assumed role for you on the San Diego team was goon.
Well, after I made the team, they told me, a couple of guys said that they heard that I could really fight. Anyway, Goldie, so with the first practice we have, and this is training camp, and we're working out, and then we're going to scrimmage, and guess who he puts me against?
Goldie.
And he whacks me, and I whack him back with a stick. We're going up and down the ice. He's whacking me again. I turn around, I whack him, and we drop the gloves with Goldie Goldthorpe. And I'm standing there watching him throwing punches. He's jumping around, throwing punches, and I'm just sitting here like this, and I'm looking at his chin, and I go, bang, and knocked him out. Out cold, one shot. And he gets up and he wakes up and he's like this and he's pulling his, and the guys are going, oh, Goldie, go sit down. You Tidey kicked your ass. And I made the team.
Great story.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
man.
I've got another story about him too. But anyway,
okay, well, give me the other Goldie story.
Well, the other Goldie story is we're in the bus, and this is a month and a half into the season, and I'm reading something, and he grabs my book and throws it out the window. Just because
he's Goldie.
Because he's Goldie.
Crazy. He's bored.
And I turned to him, I said, you want some more? It was just the way my brain worked when I did stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because of my history and my background of growing up and acting out. And I believe that today. And it's not wrong. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
Here's another great story. So my first home game was against Winnipeg. You know who played on that?
Bobby Hull.
Bobby Hull. And I was on a kid line. Joe Norris, Kevin Devine, and Alec were the checking line. We checked all the big players because I could skate and check. And that's what position he put us in. I'll never forget coming out and warm up and couldn't get my eyes off of Bobby Hull is skating. Now, we sat every Saturday hockey night in Canada and grew up watching these guys, right? Gordie Howe, Bobby Hull.
Legends.
And now I'm going to the face-off, and he played left wing, I played right wing, and I'm standing beside Bobby Hull, and I go, Bobby, I can't believe I'm standing here with you. He said, it's okay, kid. Have a good game. And I said, thank you. And we go up and down the ice. I'm all over him because I could skate. The end of the game, we won the game. I scored 3 goals.
You got a hat trick.
I got a hat trick.
Against Bobby Hull,
and it said
in the WHA Winnipeg Jets.
In the paper the next day, it said Tidey checks Hull. Maybe Hull should have checked Tidey. I've got that clipping. So those are the things that happen. But in that, San Diego, I don't know if you remember.
Did they stick around or did they fold?
Well, there's another thing that's really interesting. So San Diego was Golden Girls and parties and all the rest of the stuff. And, one of the things that happened to me is I started partying with the partiers. And
the real partiers.
The real partiers.
Yeah, the hardcore partiers.
The hardcore. And anyway.
Did they introduce you to another substance?
Yeah, that would have been so the story of that was I was...
Peruvian marching powder?
Yeah, so what happened was I went to my first party, a house party in San Diego. And this girl standing over, and she comes over and she says, do you toot? And I looked at her and I went, yeah, because she was beautiful.
Do you toot?
Do you toot?
Now that could be taken a lot of different ways.
Well, I didn't know what it meant.
Okay.
But I looked at her and I said, sure, yeah. And she said, okay, let's go into the bathroom. And I looked at her again. I said, okay. Seriously, I didn't know what she was doing.
There was going to be some tooting going on.
And we went into the bathroom, and she pulled out a little mirror and put this white stuff down. And I'd heard of the cocaine, but I've never, ever seen it. And she starts chopping it up, and she takes a snort. And I said, what is that? And she says, cocaine. Oh. She said, it'll help you party all night. Oh, good. Okay. So I did a line. And then she looked at me right in the eyes and said, and it's not addictive. And I'll never forget that.
Delusional. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So the other thing that happened was my first road trip was into Houston. And guess who played in Houston?
Gordie Howe.
Gordie Howe. And Gordie Howe, again, I'm in, warm up watching Gordie Howe going, I'm with Mr. Hockey. I'm skating on the same ice. I'm not kidding. It was powerful. And then we start facing off and we start playing, and I'm checking Gordie Howe. We get in the corner. What does Gordie do? Elbow. Right in the nose. And he turned to him, and I, with my stick, and I was going to cross-check him, and I go, oh, that's Mr. Hockey, and I went to the bench, and my nose is bleeding, and Honor Lacroix is down at the other end of the bench. He says, Tidey, you take that from him, you take that from everybody. And I went, okay.
Yeah.
This is a true story. The next shift.
Of course it's true.
It's true. And I had the stuff up my nose to stop it from bleeding. And
so you go out in the ice with the two nose plugs up there.
Yeah, 2 nose plugs up my, and he's in the slot and we're in our end. And I see the puck coming out to him. So I cross-checked him down onto his knees, and he turned around and broke his stick over my leg.
Back in the day when the stick was a piece of lumber.
Piece of lumber.
Yeah.
And I threw my gloves off.
Go with Mr.
Because
Hockey.
I don't think about anything, but I thought, you don't break a stick over my leg like that. And I threw the gloves off, and I looked back. Both benches now are emptying. And I grabbed onto Gordie. He's on his knees, and I'm down there with him. And I go, oh, Gordie, I'm in trouble, aren't I? And he said, yeah, you are, kid. And we didn't have helmets on back then, and all I could feel, I was just holding them in, and the knuckles were going off the back of my head. And so there you go. I fought Gordie Howe. True story. True story.
Alec,
Yeah.
great to have you on the show.
Yeah.
Hockey stories are always my
They
favorites, but thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Those are great stories.
Well, thank you.
Conovision. Well, that's episode 5 in the digital archive. Thanks for making it this far with me. To review, on Epi 5, we heard the wisdom of 84-year-old Dr. James Hollis, Ph.D., a Jungian psychoanalyst and author, from his book, What Matters Most. Also, we heard the Full Metal Jacket explanation of the us versus them mentality, and the story of my good friend Alec Tidey and his battles both on and off the frozen pond. Thanks for listening. It's always a pleasure telling stories. And of course, remember, we are all stories to be told. Until next time, I'm Jim Conrad, and this has been Conovision, the spirit of storytelling. Bye-bye. Conovision. Conovision. On this episode, we will have a conversation with 2 working actors.
In every actor, there lives a tiger, a pig, an ass, and a nightingale. You never know which one's going to show up.
If there were 2 sides of a coin, marked comedy and tragedy, an inscription written by Shakespeare may very well have read, "Turn it over," on both sides of the coin.
I've always had a penchant for performing. I loved performing.
Yeah.
It's great. And
It's fun.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's fun. And he rattles his paper and he looks up and he goes, "Oh, you've got some talent, not much, but some. All right, off you go."
And my passions were puppets, ventriloquism, and then filmmaking, in that order.
Wow, what a nerdy kid.
Oh, man, I was a nerd of a different color.
Ekru is a critic. Loves to see the show. Just doesn't know when to say yes and when to say no. But that's because of beige. Conovision.